global warming, extinction of species, and possible nuclear winter. It is very odd, to follow the happenings of the world from complete peace and security and happiness. But and my rant is coming from a really small place, but perhaps in this materialistic reality we live in, perhaps it's of some use. I don't know. Let's see. Happenings of the world. Record-breaking climate change pushes world into uncharted territory. Earth is a planet in upheaval, say scientists, as the World Meteorological Organization publishes analysis of recent heat highs and ice lows. The Guardian reporting. And then, I don't know, what is the worst news? Europe pushing for encryption backdoors from June on. Legislation remains a possibility. The Register.com from UK reporting. Let's have a little more on that. Encrypxit. Europe will go all in for crypto backdoors in June. App makers get a choice. Open up voluntarily or we'll pass laws forcing you to. The European Commission will in June push for backdoor access to encryption used by apps, according to EU Justice Commissioner Vera Jourova. Sounds Polish, and I mean they're our most flaming right-wingers there at the moment, aren't they? I don't know. But it is very interesting. It is very interesting, First, you have something they call terrorism, which isn't terrorism anymore. It's just simply complete madness, which is because, British and especially US and the French, and others, arms companies and oil companies have, completely destroyed the lives and the world of Africans and Middle Eastern people, and this madness that has nothing to do with terrorism. It doesn't lead anywhere. It's just insanity that is now called terrorist attacks. They are in a way a last desperate cry for any sort of human justice from these people whose lives and world has been destroyed. And then that is used as an excuse to increase the surveillance state all over the world, and now it's then, after US and Britain, now it's coming to the EU, so that not only can people be kept, in line with the information, but also, some of the same investors who've invested in those arm companies and oil companies can make even more money with all the information that is taken from destruction of people's privacy. What a wonderful, it's marvelous. People are dying in the Middle East and in Europe, and the same people are just, this certain class of people are just making more and more money and kept less and less in check themselves, as a result. Wonderful. Marvelous. Apple sold 4.2 billion of product in New Zealand, paid $0 local taxes. Their tax department is even more innovative than their product designers, asked Technical reporting. And that was a quote. Yeah, and that's pretty much what it's all about, isn't it? What the neoliberal period, of the last 40 years, that's what it's all been about, isn't it? Court in India declares the rivers Ganga and Yamuna as living people with all legal rights of a living person to save them from massive pollution and save their very existence. Times of India Times reporting. And again, once hellos to New Zealand. This is what happens when you open the can of worms. And all our, sympathies for what has been they're trying to achieve, yes, we all should protect nature, but, rivers are not living persons, no more than, giant corporations are. It's just that's a non-factual. Theresa May told her school cuts are forcing teachers to buy pens, pencil and paper out of their own pockets. She was clearly elected on a pledge not to cut school funding, and that is exactly what is happening, Jeremy Corbyn says. Corbyn, of course, totally right. Theresa May, of course, totally wrong. That's obvious. But this is, again, some sort of a trend all over the world. Again, right-wingers, neoliberals, education is very bad, very wrong. It gives people ideas. They may get funny thoughts about, fighting the system and so on. Education, making people more civilized, more knowledgeable, very dangerous. Germany to officially pardon 50,000 gay men convicted under Nazi-era law criminalizing homosexuality. The Independent, well, I hope Independent, well, with a grain of salt, but if true, it's about time. As many as 7,000 massive underground methane bubbles formed by thawing permafrost are set to explode in Siberia. Such explosions, while releasing greenhouse gases, can create massive craters and possess a major safety risk to the local people, Digital Journal reporting. And those methane, the released methane, domino effect, I mean, disastrous. Thames Water has been fined a record £20 million after pumping nearly 1.5 billion litres of untreated sewage into the River Thames. BBC reporting, from the last few weeks news. Just try and count that, how little that is per litre. And that is supposed to be a record? 20 million? And again, this seems to be a trend all over the world. I mean, the punishment, the fines on crimes on the environment are laughably small, laughably low. And again, that is a severe threat to our very, existence. Had to say. Photos reveal more than 200 bright blue Arctic lakes have started bubbling with methane gas. Science alert again. It may all end this summer. I mean, it's a disaster. Merkel's party wins German state vote by large margin. The local Deutschland reporting. In the Saarland state, vote being held 6 months before a general election, Merkel's Christian Democrats. What a contradiction in terms. Christianity is not, democratic. Contradiction in terms. 140% against 30% for the center-left Social Democrats. Center-left. Social democracy is suddenly center-left. SPD. According to early results reported by public broadcaster ZDF. And again, it seems to be some sort of a thing that because the threat is something beyond neo-Nazis, the fact that crazy right-wingers are, neoliberals like Angela Merkel, that they, seem to be doing well against social democrats, who of course in Germany, I guess, it was Gerhard Schröder who who betrayed the left, and of course, the people, may not be, but as an idea. I mean, how crazy this situation is. That you're supposed to root for right-wing nutters like Angela Merkel? Oh boy. Studies in Canada show that microfibers used in garments such as yoga pants have become a bigger threat to aquatic animals than microbeads. Microfibers made up 95% of the plastic pollution in waterways as compared to microbeads, which constituted only 5%. Digital Journal again. What can one say but this is an absolute and total disaster of unnameable proportions. Iran's central bank said Sunday it will appeal Luxembourg's decision to freeze 1.6 billion of its assets, which the US is claiming as compensation for victims of the September 11, 2001 attacks. Digital Journal reporting. Iran had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. And I mean, what is this decision of Luxembourg's? What the heck can it possibly be based on? I mean, US may not be a justice state, but Luxembourg certainly should be, at least, publicly, if not, tax haven wise. I don't understand that. Supreme Court of India banned sale of emissions norms non-compliant vehicles, saying health of the people is far, far more important than the commercial interests of the manufacturers, Hindustani Times reporting. And I mean, again, I don't care if India is run by right-wingers. Lots of good things are, said in India at the moment. Australia's ambassador to the US, former Treasurer Joe Hockney, has praised the Trump Donny Tiny-Hands's administration as a practical and credible force that is finding its feet 70 days into its 4-year term, and called for a halt to constant criticism of the White House. SMH.com, Australia reporting. And again, so it is possible to have totally mad and incredibly crazy people in Australian politics as well. Okay? Now there is no, denying that. So anyway, I have to leave it at that. My news. Otherwise, I can't do my rant at all. And it's very short again, But it's about. Let's take an example. I had an idea of my dream car. All right, So, and actually, I was thinking about it. Which would be a nice basis. Alpine, for example, something really nice, and then take this it to one of these companies that now can make electric vehicles out of classic cars, and make it an electric vehicle, and or perhaps let's have a Pontiac and make an electronic kit, and take William Daniels' voice from let's say from Blind Date, I've never broken the law before, but it'll be worth it, and I had fun. And your life is full of dreams like this, or think actually in some of our cases, possible plans like this. And at a very short time, after I had imagined all these things and thought about these things, I came into the conclusion that it was quite enough for me just to think of them. I didn't need them for anything. I don't want to spend more resources than necessary. I don't want to cause more, pressure on the environment than necessary. I'm quite happy to buy a modest electric vehicle, completely ordinary on stock, and use it as carefully as possibly. And that's quite enough. And again, that's my very short and sweet rant. Could imagination just be enough? For everybody. And we wouldn't have to use so much resources? Don't know.